So what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yugi Tuber ruling quiz video. Today I am here with my rival. I'm here with TOMBOX, the one and only other Yu-Gi-Oh judge content creator. Hi Tom, how you doing?
Doing good. This is TOMBOX, and I don't know, man. Your quizzes can be extremely exciting, very hard. We've had disagreements on runes in the past.
We have. You guys, okay, so those of you that don't know, Tom and I, our very first interaction was literally me telling my friend to appeal a ruling that Tom gave them at a YCS.
Yep.
Funniest shit of my life.
Fair point, fair point.
So, Tom...
This guy has an RC2?
No, I don't actually. I'm actually RC0, but we don't talk about that.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Absolutely. So, Tom, did I tell you what deck we are talking about for this quiz that I'm doing for you today?
There's no deck.
There is indeed no deck. Did I tell you what we were doing?
No, there's no deck. This is a challenge.
Today, Tom, I have opted to bring to you the bane of every judge's existence. I will be asking you 8 questions specifically pertaining to the damage step.
Oh, man. Why did you have to pull the kryptonite on me here? Okay.
I have no choice. We are going with the damage step. I have given the chat the opportunity to gamble their channel points once again, as we always do. In order for the believers to get their points, you must score 7 or higher. So 7 or 8 out of 8 in order for the believers to get their points. Otherwise, the doubters are going to be able to rejoice and get their points and yoink it from the beautiful people that have believed in you.
Oh, this is so rough, man.
How confident are you that you know damage step interactions and damage step rulings to the point where you can absolutely clap it?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of a 6 out of 8, you know, just right at the borderline.
You're a 6 out of 8 kind of guy? I mean, that's
kind of guy. It is hard. Some of them, like, you have to, like, do a double take on them. Like, this is not like the written quiz. You get to reread it until you, like, no. There's that one point of the interaction that this one small article that changes the whole thing. But we'll see.
So in this case, your opponent controls a bean soldier and you control a face down dummy golem. You'll be able to read that in just a moment. So here, your opponent enters the battle phase, attacks your dummy golem with their bean soldier. Your dummy golem gets flipped face up. After damage calculation, when the effect of dummy golem is activated, first of all, can it activate? And if so, how does the effect resolve?
Well, this monster is destroyed already, so it can't be selected, and there's no other cards. This is kind of going back into like the whole brainjacker shenanigan, where can brainjacker steal the monster even though it's destroyed? So
you know brainjacker? I literally opted to not put brainjacker in this test because I was like, that's way too silly. I'm not putting brainjacker in here.
No, that's like the whole brainjacker scenario. So the monster, will it be able to activate? That's a good question. Will it activate and fizzle?
Oh, come on! You can't just say that! You can't say that! That's not legal! No, you can't say that! I'm done. He said fizzle. I can't. I'm done.
We got him, boys. We got him.
I cannot invite you as a fellow judge and you say that on my quiz. What?
Just destroyed the quiz. Okay, so it will flip. Switch control. This is all old text, isn't it?
I believe the dummy golem does have. It might not have PSCT. It might be.
It doesn't have PSCT. It uses the word select. Your opponent selects one monster they control.
Yeah, that genuinely feels like
monster. But unfortunately, this card will be considered as destroyed. I do not think that this card is actually going to activate. It activates, but it does nothing because you can't give control of this card to your opponent.
So your final answer is that it can activate, but it will resolve without effect?
Yes, that's what I answer.
All right. So Tom, you are currently 1 for 1. You are correct. The effect of the dummy golem is going to activate because it is a mandatory effect. But as you know, when a monster is determined, marked to be destroyed by this battle, its control cannot switch. So in this case, the effect of the dummy golem will resolve without effect, and the dummy golem is simply destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Currently 1 for 1. Congratulations, off to a very good start. Did you feel like this was too hard for the first question, or was it okay?
No, I think it's fair. I mean, this is something we need to know. I think all players should start at this level.
It is indeed something that we do need to know. So currently 1 for 1, feeling pretty confident. Are you ready to get into question number 2?
Let's do it. Let's do question number 2.
You control a Lyrilusk Assembled Nightingale, and a Lyrilusk Recital Starling. Your opponent controls a Defense Mission, Unchained Soul of Disaster. In your main phase 1, you activate the last effect of the Assembled Nightingale that says you can detach a material to make it so that this turn you take no battle damage. After this, you enter the battle phase, and with your Recital Starling, you crash into your opponent's Unchained Soul of Disaster. Recital Starling has a text that says, all battle damage you take from battles involving this Xyz summon card is also inflicted to your opponent. So in this situation, after you have resolved the effect of Assembled Nightingale that says you take no battle damage this turn, how much battle damage is inflicted to each player here?
Okay, the first thing I'm going to say to this particular question is ask your head judge always, because this is a potential ruling that could swing either way. But if we're going to go by database,
By precedent,
by precedent. Funny enough, it's a precedent that doesn't exist in TCG just yet. It's a precedent that comes out in the next structure deck.
Sure, let's go with that. There actually are a couple of there are a couple of precedents in the TCG, but to some extent you are correct. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go with the turn player, me, the one who's attacking into that 3k. I'll take nothing, but my opponent will be taking full damage of what I would have taken.
Which would be how much in this case?
In this case, I believe... Did I gain any attack or anything?
No, this monster is on 0-0.
Then my opponent takes 3,000.
And you take 0?
I'll take 0.
You are correct, Tombox. Once again, your opponent will be taking 3,000. The reason why is because there actually is an order of operations when you have redirecting battle damage and things that say that you don't take battle damage, things that say both players take battle damage. So the order of operations in this case is specifically when your Recital Starling attacks into the disaster, you determine how much battle damage you would be taking from this battle. And then the Recital Starling applies its effect to make both players take that exact amount of damage, which was 3,000 to both players. And then at the point where you would take the damage, the Assembled Nightingale says, well, I'm not taking any damage, but your opponent is already determined to be taking 3k. So you are correct. Currently 2-4-2. Are you feeling the heat so far? Not really.
It is getting pretty hard. I mean, I know this one is the one that you should always ask a head judge, because it really depends on whether or not they respect the sequencing of that order of operation.
Ready for question number 3, bro?
Let's do it.
Your opponent controls a Gunkin Suship Shari. You control Graph, Male Branch of the Burning Abyss, and a Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Here, your opponent's Gunkin Suship Shari declares an attack on your Fiendish Rhino Warrior. What happens?
I think I know where this is going.
Where is this going, Tom?
This is going into the damage step where the Fiendish Rhino Warrior is considered to be destroyed by battle, since it can be destroyed by battle, correct? Since it's only
It can indeed be destroyed by battle. That is correct.
And once it is considered to be destroyed by battle, I'm looking into the after damage calculation point of this. When its continuous effect gets turned off, however, it is still on the field, then Graph would basically... Would Graph be considered as destroyed? That's the real question.
Does Graph get destroyed at any point during this damage step?
Oh, I have to give this one a thought here. So monsters that were destroyed by battle, I think it's after damage calculation where it does turn off its continuous effect. The continuous effect is no longer applied, and the continuous effect of Graph would cause it to get destroyed, because Fiendish Rhino Warrior is not a BA monster, but it's technically still on the field. You know what? I'm gonna have to take a risk here. I would say
take a risk. Okay,
yeah, it's a risk. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I would say after damage calculation, the Fiendish Rhino Warrior technically is still on the field, because we have not reached the end of the damage step where things would be sent away. So Graph and Fiendish Rhino Warrior both are technically on the field at the same time. Graph's continuous effect would basically destroy itself, because Fiendish Rhino Warrior's continuous effect is no longer applying. Therefore, Graph will be destroyed. Then, Fiendish Rhino Warrior would also be destroyed. So both of those will start a chain link 1, chain link 2, because both of them would be destroyed.
So you're saying that Rhino and Graph would both be in the same chain?
Yes, I would say that.
That is your final answer?
That's my final answer.
So, Tom, on this one, you're not exactly correct. You're not exactly incorrect either. I'm going to award you a 0.5 points on this one, because you are correct that the Graph indeed does get destroyed. However, the Graph and the Rhino Warrior will not start a chain together. The actual interaction that happens here is that after damage calculation, the Fiendish Rhino Warrior that is marked for destruction's continuous effect does stop applying, but it is still on the field. So you are correct, the graph will be destroyed by its own card effect here. The thing is, at this point, because you do not enter the end of the damage step, the Fiendish Rhino Warrior remains on the field. So the graph can trigger, and in this case, the graph is legally allowed to trigger, will summon a Seer from the deck. In this case, because your Seer is now on field with a Fiendish Rhino Warrior whose continuous effect stops applying, the Seer will destroy itself, and the Seer can also activate to summon back the graph. And afterwards, the graph is on the field at the same time as a Fiendish Rhino Warrior whose continuous effect stops applying, so the graph also gets destroyed, and then after that, once you enter the end of the damage step, the Fiendish Rhino Warrior gets destroyed and is able to trigger to send a monster from the deck to the graveyard, and that is why you are going to be awarded 0.5 points. You were correct on the first half, but you were incorrect on the second half. Still not too bad. Most people probably wouldn't know that the continuous effect would stop applying during the end of during after damage calculation of the damage step, but this is how this interaction plays out. As long as you continuously have a trigger effect and a trigger effect and a trigger effect that keep activating, you do not proceed to the next substep of the damage step, and as we know, monsters that are marked for destruction are actually destroyed and sent to the graveyard during the end of the damage step and not after damage calculation.
Okay.
How are you feeling about that one?
that one was pretty rough. That was pretty rough, but that was also really good. That was insightful.
Right, you ready for question number 4, Tom?
These are hard, man.
They only get harder from here.
Okay.
We'll give you a very simple game state for question number 4. So here, your opponent controls a Judgman, and you control the best archetype, Warrock Fortia. In this case, your opponent is in their battle phase. They are going to declare an attack onto your Warrock Fortia. After damage calculation, can you activate the effect of Fortia, which reads, if your Earth Warrior monster battles, after damage calculation, you can add one Warrock card from your deck to your hand, except Warrock Fortia. Then all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. Can that effect be activated in this current scenario?
Oh man, your questions are all so hard, involving whether or not a monster is being marked for destruction. All of them have been marked for
hey,
destruction.
that's the most you need to know for the damage step, isn't it?
It is true. It is a trigger effect, however. If your Earth monster battles after damage calculation, it's a trigger effect. It's not a quick effect. Optional quick effects can't activate. Mandatory quick effects have to activate. Continuous effects are no longer activated. In this case, I would say Fortune will be able to add a Warrock.
That is your final answer?
Yeah.
TOMBOX, unfortunately, you are incorrect. The Fortia here is not allowed to activate for the simple reason that because it is marked for destruction, you are not able to make all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's turn.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that part.
That part of the effect is
not
able to be applied. In this case, you are not able to activate the effect of the
because
war.
I can't fulfill the entire effect. That has nothing to do with whether or not it was destroyed. That was my bad. Because
Correct.
If there was another monster, it would be able to activate.
That is true. That is true. If there was another monster,
I didn't read the other part of it. That was my bad. That was just me not reading the rest of the card. I was only considering the after damage calculation part, and I'm like, yeah, I should be able to, but I gotta keep in mind you have to resolve all parts of the entire.
Unfortunately, Tom has lost to the one thing that ruins all Yu-Gi-Oh players, and that is the inability to read from time to time.
Yep.
So in this position, you are 2.5 out of 4. 4 more questions to go. Are you feeling confident for the rest of the test? Can you clutch it out?
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll do it.
All right. So are you ready for question number 5?
Let's do it.
So here, in this game state, your opponent controls a Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. You control a Set Subterror Guru and a Subterror Fiendess in your hand. Okay. Your opponent enters the battle phase. They declare an attack with their Avermax onto your Guru, which, for the purposes of this, was special summoned initially. It was a special summoned monster. During damage calculation, your opponent will activate the effect of their Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, which says, once per battle during damage calculation, if this card battles a special summoned monster, you can make this card gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack during that damage calculation only. Here you will chain the effect of your Subterror Fiendess, sending it to the graveyard and making your Guru turn face down. What happens after this chain resolves.
Well, you're currently in during damage calculation.
That is correct.
The trigger timing?
That is during damage calculation.
So, Fiendus flips the face down. You can't gain the attack because that part's still resolved. Fiendus negates that. This flips face down. Your attack target still there technically. Nothing changed.
Okay.
Because if you book a monster, still considered the same monster, I believe. This is a very tricky one. I've actually never experienced the scenario, but
it is indeed a tricky one.
You're still technically in damage calculation. I guess the question is whether or not the battle stops or does the battle continue. That is the tricky one, 100%. I know there is a scenario where monsters have flip phase down during the damage step.
And what happens in those instances to your?
I cannot
from what you remember.
This
oh my god, he forgot! He forgot!
I forgot, guys. I forgot about this one. Let's see. Well, you're doing it during damage calculation. The monster is being attacked is flip face down. This is during damage calculation. This is so weird. The monster's flip face up, and then I don't know if the guy flips it face down. Do we continue? This is like after that step already. How do we perform damage calculation on something that is face down? Do you go back a step and re-flip the monster?
Ooh, maybe. Do you?
This is so weird because like you're like past the point of where it flips.
It is indeed a strange scenario because yes, as you know, monsters that are face down get flipped face up before damage calculation. Now we're past that step. So the question is, does the monster get flipped? Do you continue the battle? Does the battle end? How does it play out?
It almost feels like removing the monster, but you didn't remove the monster. Wow, this is hella tricky.
It is indeed a tricky one, and this is something that could come up. I definitely can imagine a situation where you'll Fiendus negate something in the damage step with a Guru that's being battled. Like that's absolutely something that can happen.
I'd say the battle continues. The battle will continue. It will just flip face up again, and the battle will continue where it left off.
All right. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. Let's do
How
this.
confident are you on this one? It's like a 50-50 a guess.
Honestly, it's 50-50. Those are the only two options. I'm only at 50-50 here.
All right. Well, Tom, you are correct. The Guru will immediately be flipped right back up, and the battle continues completely normally.
Can you explain this one to me? Because I was taking a guess on this one.
I can explain it to you. So basically, yes, monsters that are face down get flipped up during the before damage calculation substep of the damage step. However, in any instance or situation where a monster gets flipped face down, the monster that is specifically being attacked into gets flipped face down at any point after that during the damage step, it will immediately be flipped right back up after damage calculation, after the chain has been resolved, I should say. So in this case, this is just a universal rule. If it gets booked, like something like this, the Guru in damage calc, if it gets booked, it'll immediately be flipped right back up after that chain is resolved, and you continue with the battle just as it was supposed to happen if you hadn't booked it. So you are correct. You are currently 3.5 out of 5. So you are correct here. The Guru will be destroyed by this battle. And then, obviously, you would be allowed to activate the flip effect of the Guru. But here the player, which in this case is me, who's bad at Subterror, has opted not to activate the effect. 3 more questions to go, and it only gets harder from here. Are you ready for a question?
Quizzes, man. This is hella hard.
Bro, that was harder than this. Come on, you're a real judge. You're a real judge. What do you mean?
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
So in this case, your opponent once again controls the greatest monster of all time, Bane Soldier. You control a decoy dragon and have Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon in your graveyard. Here, your opponent is going to they're going to battle with their Bean Soldier into your decoy dragon. At this point, you are going to activate the effect of Decoy Dragon, which says if this card is targeted for an attack, target a level 7 or higher dragon in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, change the attack to that target and perform damage calculation. Here you are going to target the Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is going to be summoned by the effect of the Decoy Dragon, at which point, if at all, is the Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon destroyed.
Ooh. I like this one. This one's tricky. So there's no field spell right now on the field, and so you get to destroy this card. This one actually reminds me of Rivalry of Warlord shenanigan.
That is true. This is very similar to Rivalry of Warlord shenanigans.
Rivalry of Warlord. Oh my goodness.
Do you know how it plays out?
Well, if Rivalry of Warlords was up and I attack into something, we do perform the damage calculation. And it's like up until after after damage calculation where the monster gets popped by its own thing. So we are going to perform damage calculation. This is like something I'm pretty sure of, because you summon out the monster and you perform damage calculation because that's all part of the same effect. Correct? Wait, hold on. If this card is targeted for an attack, target one level 7 or higher monster in your grave, a special summon it, and if you do, change the attack target to it and perform. So that's all simultaneous. Okay, so there is no timing change. The moment that this card is summoned, we're going into damage calculation. Okay, so to me right now, there is no in-between phases where this card would pop itself before we even go there. So it is immediately going to go into damage calculation. There is no timing change, to my knowledge, based off of how it's worded. So we're going to perform damage calculation. Bean Soldier can attack into it. It's going to die after damage calculation. The Malefic Blue Eyes will now, well, the continuous effect is going to pop it because there's no field spell. So after damage calculation, Malefic Blue Eyes will blow up, and then the Bean Soldier got destroyed by battle. End of damage step. Boom, blow itself up.
Is that your final answer, Tom?
That's the answer I'm going to go with.
Well, Tom, you are correct! Immediately after damage calculation was conducted within the resolution of Decoy Dragon, Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon is going to be destroyed because there is no field spell. So in this case, you do perform damage calculation, so the player that controls Bean Soldier will take 1600 damage. The Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon will be destroyed after damage calculation, and then during the end of the damage step, the Bean Soldier will be destroyed by that battle. Wow! This is a rough one, and I'm very surprised that you got this right, but you know your rivalry of Warlord interactions.
Yeah.
You are currently 4.5 out of 6. 2 more questions to go in order to clutch it out. If you get both right, you end with 6.5 above Nim Nim, Simo, and the like. Are you ready?
It's gonna be hard.
For
Let's do it.
Number
These
7.
are so hard. These should be on a real test.
I'm telling you right now, the last 2, I made them harder than everything else. So, let's fucking
Let's do it.
go. So here, you control a co-linked Nightmare Phoenix and a Code Talker Inverted. They are currently co-linked to each other. I'm telling you right now, the only relevant effect here is the fact that Nightmare Phoenix says co-linked monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. This is the only relevant effect on this side of the field. Your opponent controls a Celtic Guardian and an Armor Breaker. So in this case, your opponent is going to enter the battle phase with their Celtic Guardian. They will attack over your Code Talker Inverted. In this case, you will be taking 100 points of damage, and then the effect of Armor Breaker will activate in order to destroy the Nightmare Phoenix. At the end of the damage step, what happens?
Okay, let's run this back a little bit. So we go into a Celtic Guardian attacking into a Code Talker Inverted that is currently co-linked with the Nightmare Phoenix. I guess the question is, does the Code Talker Inverted get popped? This is really tough. The question is, when does the armor thing pop, and when is something marked for destruction? Monster. You perform damage calculation. When does the life points change? That is also one key factor into answering this question. When does the life point actually change here? So if the life points change and you perform damage calculation, basically you do it during performing damage calculation. That's when you actually mark it for destruction. But if it's marked for destruction and then you perform, well, the damage is done. Okay, and then after damage calculation, you can attempt to pop a card. Oh, I guess the question also goes into, if a card cannot be destroyed by battle, is it actually marked for destruction?
Ooh, that is something to consider, is it not?
That is also something to consider here. I see I see you're not pulling any punches here.
Yeah, you see that there is a lot more to this than meets the eye.
No, I can see how tricky this can be. Let's see. So while equipped to a monster by this card's effect, each time the equipped monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, destroy 1 card. So this happens during damage step, obviously. You know, one monster can be equipped with 1 new monster at a time. If this equipped card is destroyed by battle, whatever, destroy this card instead. That part's irrelevant. Let's see. Inflict the damage. Pop the card. Okay. I'm gonna take a swing at this.
Yes.
If we deal 100 battle damage, Armor Breaker will activate once the damage I believe is, well, I guess maybe it's like after damage calculation. Is that a trigger or is it happening immediately? Regardless of where it activates, it's going to activate and then it will pop on the resolution. It will pop the Nightmare Phoenix, and then technically the inverted Code Talker is still. Then again, this is really hard because if a monster that cannot be destroyed by battle, it can't really be marked for destruction, can it?
That is the question, can it?
I don't think it can.
Okay.
I don't think it can, because if you attack into a marshmallow, or you have like a monster that cannot be destroyed by battle, its continuous effect is still applying, even like after you attack, even if you attack over it. So if it cannot be destroyed by battle, I don't think that inverted Code Talker is actually going to be destroyed because it was never marked for destruction. So I think that's what I am gonna go with.
So give me that in the form of a digestible answer.
In the form of a digestible answer, I'm going to say when Celtic Guardian attacks into the inverted Code Talker, which is currently co-linked with the Nightmare Phoenix, it can't be marked for destruction because it cannot be destroyed by battle. But then because it inflicted battle damage, Armor Breaker will destroy it, and then the inverted Code Talker stays alive.
Final answer?
That's my answer.
TOMBOX, you are correct! Because during damage calculation, Code Talker Inverted was not determined to be destroyed by battle. Even though the Nightmare Phoenix is no longer on the field, the Code Talker Inverted is not destroyed. So, to explain this in a little bit more of a simpler way, is that the last three substeps of the damage step are performing damage calculation, after damage calculation, and end of the damage step. So end of the damage step is the point at which a monster that is marked for destruction is actually destroyed and sent to the graveyard, and the Nightmare Phoenix leaves the field before that point. So the way it actually plays out, the Celtic Guardian attacks into the Code Talker Inverted, and this is the point where you determine how much damage is inflicted and whether or not a monster would be destroyed by that battle. Because the Code Talker Inverted was co-linked to the Nightmare Phoenix at that time, the Code Talker Inverted is not marked to be destroyed by this battle. Therefore, it won't be destroyed by this battle regardless of if the Nightmare Phoenix leaves before you enter the end of the damage step. So in this position, Tom, you are 5.5 out of 7 with one question remaining to determine whether or not you go above Simo Engage or you remain behind Simo Engage. How confident are you?
Oh my god, these questions are hella hard.
How confident are you that you will be able to clutch out the absolute last answer that I cooked up with my buddy Lantern, and is a pretty interesting.
Wow, you went with the land. Oh my god, this is Omega gangster mode right here.
Are you ready for the final question?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
To the final boss we go. All right, the current game state. You control Super Heavy Samurai Ogre Shuten Doji. Your opponent has a face-up final attack orders. You have Forbidden Lance in your hand, and your opponent has a set Earthquake Giant. All right? You'll be able to read anything you need to read in a moment, but I will actually explain to you the situation here. So,
okay.
Your attack position, Super Heavy Samurai Ogre Shuten Doji, attacks your opponent's face-down Earthquake Giant while final attack orders is applying. Here, your opponent's Earthquake Giant is going to be flipped and then turned immediately into attack position because it gets flipped up before damage calculation, so the final attack orders will change it to attack. At this point, the Earthquake Giant will activate its effect that says when the battle position of this card is changed, you can select one monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. So it will activate and resolve its effect to change your Ogre Shuten Doji to defense, at which point you will chain Forbidden Lance to make your Ogre Shuten Doji unaffected by the final attack orders. At this point, your Shuten Doji is changed to defense position. Because your Ogre Shuten Doji has the effect, this card can attack while in face-up defense position. After this chain resolves, what happens?
Wow, that is a nightmare scenario.
It indeed is. Yes, so final attack orders says all face-up monsters on the field are changed to attack position, and their battle positions cannot be changed.
You activate land so that you do not change your battle position because it is currently unaffected by spells and trap cards.
It is unaffected by the final attack order.
Oh my god, we're back into total defense Shogun mode. This is a precedent ruling from Total Defense Shogun. I'm pretty sure, unless like UDE did something really, really wrong.
Perhaps.
So this card can attack while face up in defense position. I believe the attack actually is going to likely continue. That's what I believe. Oh my god, what is Total Defense Shogun's thing when he gets switched into defense position? I know he attack. I think a Total Defense Shogun attacks with his attack points in defense position. This is really weird. It does change in defense position because even I know Final Attack Orders and Lila was like was the infinite pop combo, wipe the entire back row. I remember that. So it does go to defense position. The question is, so I got switched by a monster effect. So on the chain of the monster effect, we use the Forbidden Lance so that it doesn't get affected by the Final Attack Orders.
Correct. The chain was Earthquake Giant Chainlink 1 to make the Shuten Doji go to defense, and the Forbidden Lance was Chainlink 2 on the Shuten Doji, so it was no longer being affected by the Final Attack Orders. That is why it got successfully changed to defense and remains in defense position.
Oh my god, now we go into the attacking based effect of the Shuten Doji. Now this is kind of going back into like special effect based attacks. Oh my god, this thing is so layered. Special effect based attacks. The question is, do I have to declare the attack while I was in defense position? And am I using my attack stat or defense stat? If this card attacked, oh my god, this is so tricky.
What are you leaning towards? Where does your head take you right now?
There's two things I'm considering right now. First of all, the attack, I believe, probably will still go through. I'm thinking that it will go through right now because this card can attack while in face-up defense position. The attack declaration happened during when I was in attack position, and but now I'm in defense position. If the attack continues to go through, if these are all technically considered as, it's not really a continuous effect. I guess it's I don't even know what type of effect this is. It's not a trigger effect. It's not something that activates. It's just something that your monster can do. So it's like it's almost continuous. And if you're able to attack, I would say, you know what, this is 50-50. These are those rulings where, you know what, I can accept it if I get appealed and I can learn something. So, you know
yeah,
what?
you just want to get appealed so it's on someone else. I don't want to answer this one, right?
Yeah, I'm like, please appeal me on this one. Okay, I would say the Shuten Doji because it can attack. Oh my god, it's the special attack stuff. I wish I didn't know the special attack stuff so I would be a bit more confident on, you know, being bad. But I do know like the weird attack stuff where, you know, if you use Drytron, Draconids, and you attack into a monster that is normal summoned, you can't attack any of the special summon monster anymore. I don't know if that even applies to this. So if I make a mistake,
I was curious. I was like, where the heck is he going with this Drytron stuff? But okay, I understand where you were going with that.
You know where I'm going with it now. But okay, you know what? I'm gonna take a gamble here because it is in defense position. While this card is in face of defense position, it can attack. So I'm gonna say the attack is going to continue. It's gonna attack for the 25 now instead, and attack over the Earthquake Giant.
So in this case, you are saying the Ogre Shuten Doji's attack continues and will apply its defense stat for the damage calculation of this battle.
Yeah.
Final answer?
That's my final answer.
Well, a lot of people in the chat appear to be disagreeing with you, Tom. However, they are incorrect. You are actually the one who is correct. The opponent is going to be taking 900 points of damage here because the attack of Ogre Shuten Doji will continue because it is a monster that is allowed to battle while in defense position. So it will apply its 2500 defense over the 1600 attack of the Earthquake Giant. The opponent takes 900 points of damage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is literally all you had to do.
Yeah, I was looking into Total Defense Shogun. I remember Total Defense Shogun because I played the card, and I'm like, so what happens if it goes into defense position? Like, the attack continues. I'm like, okay. The question was, do we declare this as a special type of attack? But I don't think it does count towards that because that one limits your attack targets based off of what you can hit, whereas this one is just the ability to attack and defend. So I'm not going to categorize them together.
A big ol' 6.5 out of 8, Tom.
I'm sorry, guys. I misread one part. In the other one, I could have got 7.5.
True, you did misread the Fortia. You would have most likely gotten a solid 7.5. had you not misread the Fortia, which is really, really unfortunate. Your only 2 mistakes were misreading Fortia and not knowing the cursed Burning Abyss Fiendish Rhino Warrior interaction. Yeah. So anyways, guys, that was it for this episode of a YugiTuber ruling quiz. I brought TOMBOX the hardest of the hardest damage step ruling questions, and honestly, I'm fucking amazed. I am blown away by a solid 6.5 out of 8 score. Congratulations, TOMBOX. I hope you learned something new, and I hope I got those potentially rusty cogwheels turning again, ready to judge more tournaments in the near future.
That was really hard. Like, I had to bring out I have to bring up stuff from like 10 years ago to answer this quiz.
True. Very, very true. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys in the comment section below have learned something new. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know which other YouTubers you guys want me to have on the show. I do want to have more people. I do have a lot of cool things planned as well. I'm potentially planning a season 2 with a couple little twists and turns. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be really cool. But for this episode, guys, that's going to be it for me. So I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Peace.